Hey, how's it going, guys? It's been a little bit since I've been on the channel, but I'm bringing you a brand new deck profile, and as you can see, it's Rezael. So this is our first Divines deck profile on the channel. I have been playing Rezael for quite a bit, pretty much since it came out. I got a case, built the deck, and I was playing the Caterpillar version of the deck for quite a while. Caterpillar was fun, but once set 2 dropped and Festival Booster, I started seeing a new way that you can play the deck, and I've actually really been enjoying it. As great as Caterpillar is, I'm kind of sick of seeing it shoved into every Keter deck. So let's get right on into this deck profile. So we have our Wings of Aspiration Soul. This is just our normal Keter starter when you go second, draw a card. Then we have Patrol of Gus Ventesta. This card is really nice because when your Ascensior Grade 2 rides over it, you can call this out and then Soul Charge. And if you have a Rezael Vanguard, it gains an extra 2k, making it a 10k booster or a 10k attacker. Definitely comes in handy. Next, we have Knight of Great Advance Ascensior. Ascensior is really cool because when Rezael rides over him, you can take a Grade 2 or less card from your drop and call it to rearguard. It's really nice being able to call, especially early game. So Ventesta, Ascensior is really nice, and you're going to get a lot of cool rearguard multi-attacks with this deck. Thanks to our boss unit, the Fated One of Miracles, Rezael. Love this card. It is so fun. So when Rezael attacks, you counterblast 1, take 2 cards that are different grades from your drop zone, call them to rearguard as long as they match up with your damage. So it's really cool because your damage and your drop zone correlate. A lot of the time you're going to be calling like grade 2 and a grade 1 if you're at 3 damage, or like if you're at 1 damage you can call a grade 1 and a grade 0. It's a lot of fun. Or like if you're at 5, grade 3 and a grade 2. Rezael is really, really good in multi-attack, and it's a fun deck to pilot, but what's really cool is its divine skill. So you can Soul Blast 1, return all of your critical triggers from your drop zone back to the deck, which that's definitely a big part of the skill and very nice. And then for the rest of the fight, when you would 6 damage check a trigger that isn't a heal trigger, you get to heal a damage. So if you pull a critical trigger or a front trigger, draw trigger, your over trigger, you get to heal. If you pull your over trigger, you get to heal too, pretty much. So, and then you also get an extra drive check. So you'll be triple driving for the turn you use the divine skill. But basically what you're wanting to do is go through all of your crits, return them to the deck with Rezael, and just try to crit out your opponent, which is very, very nice. It's an aggressive deck, but how I have built it is what I dub Rezael defensive mode. So let's get right on into our deck. And I should mention, of course, we are playing our energy generator crest. We have a lot of cards that use energy, so this is a must. I am playing 3 additional copies of Rezael for Persona Ride. Persona Ride is very, very important in this deck because you want to be pushing for high numbers, especially because you're going to be attacking so much. And because of that, I'm also running 1 copy of the Chalice for my Regalius piece, just because the Persona's Ride is nice, and the Chalice comes in handy because you are playing Sergeon in the deck, so you won't have orders that you can play. The next card I'm running, which makes this deck the defensive mode, is 2 copies of the Fated One of Time, Liela Morta. So we're actually going to be ignoring most of her skills, because the only one we care about is when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you can discard a card from your hand, take 2 cards from your bind zone, return them to the bottom of the deck in any order, and then it becomes a perfect card, essentially. Definitely comes up in matches like Blingmire or, let's say, Guard Restriction. It's a very cool way to play the deck. So Festival Booster is really what made this deck playable, and I really, really wanted to play it. And if you know the lore of these 2, it's nice having them in the same deck, just for that reason alone. So very cool card, very cool way of playing the deck. You essentially have 6 perfect cards now because of this card. So It's very cool. It probably will change in future sets, but I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. And my last grade 3 that I'm running is 1 copy of Gigantic Masher. I would like to run another one, but I'm really limited on space. So when a unit is placed by Rezael's ability, Gigantic Masher gains 15k. So it's going to be a 28k on its own if you use that skill. Really nice. Want to play 2 for that reason, but 1 is fine right now. It does come up and it does make a difference, especially if you Persona Ride. That's 38k. So yeah. And now that we're done with our grade 3s, let's go right on into our grade 2s. I'm running 4 copies of our newest card from set 2, Nobiris. This card is so good. When it's placed by Rezael's ability, gains 10k. So you want to be pushing for numbers. That's really nice. And then at the end of the battle attacked, you Energy Blast 3. Move this card to your soul. It builds soul for Rezael, which is also important because you have to soul blast for your divine skill. Then you get to draw a card. Built hand. And then you get to look at the top card of the deck, and you can put it on the top or the bottom. Also helps with his divine skill, or just like, hey, my turn's about to end, so let me look at the top card of my deck. Oh, great, it's a front trigger. Okay, awesome, I'm going to pull a defensive next turn, so that helps. It's just a really, really great card, and I really like that artwork. It takes me back to the secret days of Royal Paladin, so very, very cool. Great card. Our next card is Nobia. I'm running 3 copies of Nobia, so what she does is when she's placed on rearguard, if you have a Rezael Vanguard, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can call one and put the rest on the bottom. If she was placed during the battle phase, you look at the top 3, add a card to your hand, and then place the rest on the bottom. It helps build a board, which is very important, because there's been too many times where I don't have enough rearguards to swing, and so the only attacks I'm getting are off of Rezael and whatever I call with his skill, so the fact that she can help build a board, and then she can also like get more cards to your hand is very nice. She also has an additional skill where when she attacks, if your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 1, she gains 10k. So she's going to be hitting for 20. Like I said, we want to be hitting for strong numbers. So she is really good. And on to our next card. The whole reason why this deck works is we're playing 3 of our new Divine Sister. I don't really know how to pronounce her name, but we got her in the latest festival booster, and what she does is when she is placed on rearguard, you can Soul Blast 1 to search out your set order. So this is our new him card, and what it does is when one of your units is being attacked, you can take a unit that isn't being attacked, move it to the Guardian Circle, and then at the end of that battle, bind that unit. So Liella Morta needs cards to be bound to use her skill. This is how you do it. This is our new order package. And then if our Divine Sister is placed on Guardian Circle by this card, it gains an extra 5k to her shield. So that's nice. It's a 10k shield if placed by this ability. But what's important is the order itself, because it's going to bind things. Also, there's some really cool interactions you can do with it. If you have a Perfect Guard on your rearguard circle, you can use this to place the Perfect Guard in the Guardian Circle to Perfect Guard, and you can do it with Liella Morta herself. So it's really fun. Yeah, this is the engine and how you get things to be bound, is by this card. She just lets you search for it and set it in your order zone, but you also want to play it from hand if you have it too. It's really important to stack up on this card because you want to bind as many cards as you can, just so that you can ensure that you're going to be able to use Liella Morta. But it's a very nice order package. It probably won't stay forever. This is a very like janky build, but it's really fun. So these two definitely changed. It didn't change, it just gave you another way to play the deck. So it's very cool. And to finish off my grade 2s, I'm just running 2 copies of Biscotti. This is our Keter Cycler, as we've dubbed them. So if you discard her during ride phase, you can Energy Blast her, Counter Blast 1 to draw a card. Or if she's placed on Guardian Circle, you can do the same thing to draw a card. That's a really nice skill. She also has a Persona Ride ability, so if she is placed on Rearguard when you Persona Ride, you can look at top 3 to call a card, put the rest on the bottom. If she's placed during the battle phase, you can take a card, put it on top of the deck, and then put the rest on the bottom. Definitely comes in handy. I've definitely used her skill to stack my Overtrigger before, so it's cool. I would like to run a 3rd copy of her, but right now 2 has been fine. She's also a really expensive card, so sorry everyone. Sorry, Keter players. Going on to our grade 1s, I run 3 Perfect Guard and then 1 Elementaria. And then, of course, if you count the 2 Leo Morta, that's 6 Perfect Guards. So, defensive mode. Love it. And we're running 4 copies of Best Boy, Sergeon, however you want to pronounce it. This card has changed Keter as we know it, and everyone is playing it. And I want to blame them, but I can't blame them. It's just really good. It's always going to be a 15k booster, whether you have more rear guards than your opponent, or if you just played an order that turn. So, it's very good. At the end of the battle, it boosts. You retire him, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, and put the other on the bottom of the deck. Rezael is one of the decks that can really take advantage of this skill, because you use it, use Rezael's skill, and you call it back. So you're getting a lot of cards to your hand. It's really good. I didn't want to take him out. I didn't want to play Keter Pile with the order package, but I wanted to keep Sergeon himself. Still comes in handy. This card honestly saves you on it helps you stay alive longer. It's a really good card, so I can't be mad. And luckily, I got enough when we got our case, so that was very nice. I'm also playing 3 copies of Aerial Sage. Aerial Sage is also a 15k booster, but it's also our countercharger of the deck. So when it boosts Rezael, you can discard a card from your hand to countercharge. And that's really good interactions with Rezael, because you do this first. Let's say you have no counterblast. Do this, discard a card, countercharge. Then you can use Rezael's skill to counterblast one, and then call something. So I prefer this. I did try the dog, which is another countercharger, but it retires itself. And I really want to keep strong rearguard formation, so I just think Aerial Sage is better, especially for just the interaction with Rezael. It's a very good card, and it definitely comes in clutch a lot of the times. And to finish off with our grade 1s, I run 1 of my cats. So you definitely want to build a board, and, it's nice to have that 20k shield. So 1 cat. Moving on to our triggers, I run 4 Vanilla Heal. I really love that artwork. And then 4 Effect Crit. I definitely said heal. I run 4 Vanilla Crit and 4 Effect Crit. Sorry about that. Because Rezael returns all of your crits to the deck, you want to max out on crits. There's also interactions with Blade Feather where, let's say you only have 1 damage and you want to use Rezael's skill, you can call a grade 1 and this and then move it to the soul. It's just, you gotta max out on your crits just because it's Rezael's whole thing. And I'm also playing 4 Vanilla Heal. Here's my Vanilla Heals. I really don't see the point of playing any effect heals right now. It's personal preference, like I have always said, but right now I think I would just rather play the vanillas. I think effect heals are kind of on their way out. Also, once again, I just really like the artwork. The artwork for this deck is just really, it takes me back to that old days of Vanguard. So, yeah. And I'm also playing 3 front triggers because we do not need to play draw triggers. The deck draws so much just from Biscotti, Sergeon, Nobia, and Nobiris. So fronts are nice, plus you want to make strong columns and strong numbers when you attack. So, yeah. 3 front. And to finish off, I'm playing the purple over trigger. So I have tested red and blue over triggers in this deck. Red is probably the better option, I would say. But because of the purple over trigger's skill, letting you be able to take a card from your damage, heal it essentially, and then call a card and it gains 10k, I definitely like the longevity of this because it lets you heal a card. This is the defensive mode version of this deck, as I've called it. Yes, the interaction with its skill messes a little bit with Rezael, but you can always call a card in the back row to support it. It's a good card. The red one is probably better in the deck, but I like the purple one. It's definitely saved me a few times, so it's personal choice, really. Blue OT, red OT, and they're all pretty good for this deck. But yeah, that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know I've been really slow with uploads, but we should have more coming out soon. I was in the process of moving. But this has been a really fun deck. I really like it. I like it so much to the point where I have a playmat. It's a fun deck, and it's probably going to change a lot. You know, it's going to change. We always change our decks. There's always new support and new sets, new ways to build the deck, but I'm having more fun playing it like this than I did with Caterpillar. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned for future videos, and yeah. See you guys. Bye-bye.